Welcome back, students. This is Sujit sir, and in today's class, we shall transform a few more sentences from active voice to passive voice. Now, students, in the previous class, we also transformed a few sentences from active to passive. But the sentences that we transformed were all assertive sentences or declarative sentences. But the sentences which we are going to transform today are all interrogative sentences. Now, students, before we go ahead, let me remind you once again what we exactly mean by an interrogative sentence. Yes, my dear students, an interrogative sentence is a sentence which is used to ask a question, and at the end of each of these sentences you will find a mark of interrogation or a question mark, as we can see here. Okay, let us therefore move ahead and try to transform these sentences into passive voice. Look at the first sentence, students. Were you writing a report? Now, let us divide the sentence into different parts. Now, here we have two verbs, as you can notice. The first one, were, this is an auxiliary verb, and we have here a main verb, that is writing. You is the subject and a report at the end is the object. And the tense, my dear students, we have discussed in the previous class. This is another most important thing, that you have to find out the tense in which the question is given. Now, the tense which is used here is past continuous tense, because we all know if there is was or were followed by verb plus ing, we know that the sentence is in past continuous tense. So here we have were and here we have writing, verb plus ing. This means the sentence is undoubtedly in past continuous tense. Now, students, I hope all of us remember the rule or the formula which we apply for transforming a sentence from active to passive in case of past continuous tense. Yes, students, it is either was or were followed by being and followed by the third form of the verb or the past participle form of the verb. And students, we have to remember one more important thing, that because this is a question, we have to keep the auxiliary verb in the beginning. It is not like an assertive sentence that we can start the sentence with a noun or a pronoun. So in the active voice, it will be in the structure of a question. Similarly, in the passive voice, the structure will be same. The auxiliary verb should be there in the beginning of the sentence. Okay. Now, find out the object in the sentence. We have already discussed. This is a report. A report is the object here. Now, with a report, what do we use? Do we use were or we use was? Yes, students, we always use was, because a report is a singular subject. So with a singular subject, we use a singular verb. So a report was, but not a report was. We have to start like was a report, because it's a question. So I have written was, and then I have taken the object in the beginning, which has now become the subject of the sentence or the subject in the passive voice. So was a report. Now being to be added, as we have done in our earlier classes. So here I am adding being. So up to this it is was a report being. Now the past participle form of the verb write. Write, wrote and written. The third form or the past participle form of the verb write is written. So was a report being written, and finally this you will go there and will become the object or the agent in the passive voice. So by you, and again we have to use the question mark which we have done. So this way we have transformed the first sentence from active voice to passive voice. Let me read it out. Were you writing a report? This is in the active voice. In the passive voice, it will be was a report being written by you. Let us look at the second question. Let us try to answer the second question. Now, there is a difference between question number 1 and question number 2. What is it? This is a yes-no question, the answer of which comes either in yes or in no, or the sentences or the questions which begin with auxiliary verbs are generally called yes-no questions. Here we don't need to answer in one complete sentence, but this is different from the second question. In the second question we have where. Now where is an interrogative pronoun. So how it is different? In the previous sentence we don't need a complete sentence to answer such a question, but in case of WH questions, as we find here we need a complete sentence to answer. So that is the difference between question number 1 and question number 2. Now whenever you find a question beginning with any of the WH words or any of the interrogative pronouns like this, what should we have to do? We have to copy whatever WH word is given in the question. So here I have copied this. We have here where and we have copied it down as where. Now find out the object. The object is here it. Now did is the auxiliary verb, you is the subject, find is the main verb, and it is the object. So we have here the object it. Now find out the tense in which the question is given. Now did is here, so it tells us clearly that the tense used here is simple past tense. So for a sentence in simple past tense, what do we do, my dear students? What is the formula? What rule do we apply? Yes, it is either was or were followed by the past participle form of the verb. Now with it, what do we use? Do we use were? No, we use was because it is singular. So here we need a singular subject, singular verb, which will be was and not were. So it was, but don't write it was. We have to write was it because we have to keep the structure correct, because this is a question, and while we are transforming the sentence into passive, we have to keep the same structure which is generally used for a question. So not it was, it will rather be was it. So where was it? Then the third form of the verb, find. We have here find, the main verb. What are the three forms, students? Find, found, found. So we have to use found, which is the past participle form or the third form that we have done. So where was it found? And finally the subject will become the object in the form of the agent. So it was you here, in the subject was you. So here it is becoming the object in the form of by you. So here we have transformed the second sentence from active voice to passive voice. Hope all of you have understood it. Now look at the third question, students. Now here the third question is also a bit different. Why it is so? Yes, of course, this is a WH word. This is again a WH word, but students, you have to remember if the question begins with who, so we maintain something. This is something different. What do we do here? If you find who in the active voice, in the passive voice, it always becomes by whom. So here I have written by whom. Let me tell you once again, students, whenever you get a question beginning with who, make it by whom in the passive voice and thereafter put a comma. Well, although there is no hard and fast rule that we have to put a comma, but from the grammatical point of view, generally we put a comma here after by whom. And now find out the object, the glass. Which one is the verb? Broke. So here we have broke, the verb, and the glass, the object. Once again, students, find out the tense in which the sentence is given. Broke, this is the past form. So the sentence has been given in simple past tense. In simple past tense. And the same formula, either was or were, followed by the third form of the verb. Now the glass. With the glass, what do we use? Do we use were? No, once again not. The glass is a singular subject. So with the glass it will be was and not were. And once again it will not be the glass was, rather it will be was the glass, because we are transforming a question. So when you go to the passive voice, you have to keep the same formation. So the structure of the sentence in the passive voice should be like a question. So not the glass, but was the glass. So by whom was the glass, and now the third form of the verb, which is broken. By whom was the glass broken? So here we have answered the third question. So this one is a bit different, and you need not worry for that. As I have told you, if you find a question beginning with who, just make it by whom in the passive voice. So here we have transformed as many as 3 sentences from active voice to passive voice. I have told you what are the important things which we have to keep in mind while transforming sentences, particularly interrogative sentences, from active voice to passive voice. Hope all of you have understood all the things very clearly. See you all in the next class. Thank you so much.